Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 2079th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 5th of January 2017. The readers this week are Janet, Sally, Colin and Keith, with Robin on the controls. The editor was Janet and the production and distribution team is Alan and Ali. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry. It's used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include solar panels set to save £65,000 per year, and Hospital Trust Chief is knighted. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow, the 6th of January. Sunrise 8:05, sunset 16:08. Just one special news item this week from Enfield Vision. The next drop-in will be Thursday, the 19th of January 2017. The next forum meeting will be on Monday, the 6th of February. I'll give you those again. The drop-in will be on Thursday, the 19th of January, and the next forum meeting, Monday the 6th of February. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. That's Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
Solar panels set to save $65,000 a year. Solar panels installed on council-owned buildings are estimated to save $65,000 a year in energy bills and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 21 tonnes. New solar photovoltaic panels, which are designed to absorb the sun's rays to generate electricity, have been fitted on the roof of B Block at Enfield Civic Centre in Silver Street as part of a Greater London Authority programme, which offers supports to local authorities in reducing carbon dioxide emissions. Other Enfield buildings benefiting from the solar panels include John Wilkes House in High Street, Ponders End, Enfield Business Centre in Hertford Road, Enfield Highway, Park Avenue Disability Resource Centre in Bush Hill Park, and the Rose Taylor Day Centre in the Sunny Road, Enfield Highway. The newly installed panels on the roof of the Civic Centre will provide 42,000 kilowatt hours of energy a year, equivalent to powering a television for 294,000 hours. Alan Siskin, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Business and Business Regeneration, said, "Using solar panels to provide electricity for buildings is a win-win situation. It's good for the council and good for the environment. Not only is the council on target to recoup its investment in a little over 10 years, but we are also giving a big helping hand to the environment by using this clean technology. Solar energy is renewable, and this means that we'll never run out of it. It is about as natural a source of power as it can possibly to generate electricity. The panels also require little maintenance and are a silent producer of energy," he added. Shirley Rodriguez, London Deputy Mayor for the Environment and Energy, said, "It's great to see Enfield Council taking positive steps to reduce its carbon footprint by using this technology to improve energy efficiency."
Hospital's Trust Chief is knighted. A hospital executive who has overseen major changes in the care of patients in Enfield has been given a knighthood in this year's New Year's Honours. David Sloman is the Chief Executive of the Royal Free London NHS Foundation Trust and receives his knighthood for services to the NHS. Born in Cardiff, Sir David successfully led the acquisition of Barnet and Chase Farm hospitals in 2014, after which the entire trust was awarded a good rating by NHS regulators. As well as the Royal Free, Barnet and Chase Farm hospitals, the RFL Trust also runs clinics at Barnet, serving Edgware Community and Finchley Memorial Hospitals. The 55-year-old said, "I have been incredibly fortunate to have been given the opportunity to spend my life doing something which I love. I have worked alongside some of the most talented and devoted people who make our NHS the best health service in the world. This honour is recognition of all the hard work and commitment I see every single day in our hospitals." Sir David, who lives in North London with his wife Catherine and 16-year-old daughter Jessie, has been working towards closer collaboration between community, hospital and social care across north central London. RFL Chairman Dominic Dodd said, "David has always cared deeply about patients and staff, and his personal leadership has played a big part in improving the health system both in his local North London and nationally."
A £5,000 donation offers a lifeline to visiting service. Fears that a home visiting service run by Enfield Citizens Advice could face the financial axe have been lifted after a generous £5,000 donation secured its survival for another year. The outreach service run by the charity provides a vital lifeline for elderly, disabled, vulnerable and sick residents who are unable to get to Citizens Advice's office in Nags Head Road, Ponders End. Its future had been in jeopardy until finance firm Aberdeen Asset Management's London Charity Committee donated the cash to save it from closure. The service, which has been operating for the past 2 years, sends trained personnel on home visits, giving advice on everything from applying for benefits to dealing with debt and facing homelessness. Some people simply can't make it to our bureau office due to ill health or caring responsibilities, explained Jill Harrison, Chief Executive of Enfield Citizens Advice. So our home visit service allows trained advisors to be able to offer them advice on a wide range of services in their own home or in hospital. Many have told us this service is a real lifeline to them, and we are delighted that we will be able to continue to provide this service for another year to come, she added. Citizens Advice also offers support on money worries, employment rights, welfare benefits, housing concerns, consumer, healthcare and family matters. Linda Affleck from Aberdeen Asset Management's London Charity Committee said, "The Home Visiting Service project takes Citizens Advice out to people's living rooms or hospital beds, and it can be the only way of getting advice out to vulnerable people. We're pleased to be able to help ensure this valued and appreciated service can continue for another year," she added.
Walking football helped cure a man's depression. A father says taking up walking football has helped cure his depression. Paul Stevens, who coaches and plays for Leighton Orient Walking Club, says the sport improved his mental health so much he was able to stop taking antidepressants. The 50-year-old, who works in the transport industry, says his relationship with his children has also improved. The father of 3 of Hoddesdon, Hertfordshire, said, "I suffered from depression for 10 years and it was quite bad at times, although I was never hospitalised. I was on antidepressants and seeing a psychiatrist. A year after joining the team, I have made over 20 friends and I am no longer taking the antidepressants. I love my children to pieces and I am taking them out more and am more content. My children's mothers even said to me how I'm a nicer person now and the football has changed me. Leighton Orient Walking Football Club was founded by Leighton Orient Trust in October 2015. The team range in age from 50 to 76. The slower version of the game means a player who is caught running concedes a free kick to the opposition. Frank Longsworth of Woodford Green said since joining the club in February, his flexibility and mood have improved. The 67-year-old father of one, who is a retired airport customs officer, said his wife Susan appreciates the changes football has brought about in him. He said, "My wife is becoming a football widow because I train twice a week and also have matches. It's fantastic because we are competitive but we also have a laugh and there is a social aspect to the club."
Photo roll for Star Wars star. Actress Felicity Jones may explore far-flung galaxies in the latest Star Wars film, but now she has been photographed a little closer to home for the National Portrait Gallery. The image of the British actress 33, taken at Walthamstow Marshes, has gone on display. Felicity, who plays Jyn Erso in Rogue One, a Star Wars story, was snapped on a particularly cold day by a reed bed at the marshes for the wildly atmospheric image. The portrait was taken by London-based photographer Laura Panic, who was commissioned by the gallery as part of the John Coble New Work Award. The photographer said that the Theory of Everything actress was incredibly enthusiastic, despite the cold, and really keen to contribute ideas. Actresses Olivia Colman and Andrea Risborough were photographed as part of the commission.
British Empire Medals for Community Stalwarts. Our first recipient is the boss of an award-winning Edmonton-based inclusive theatre company who grabbed the starring role for once after being made an MBE in the New Year's Honours. Anne Small, Chief Executive of Faced Front Theatre in Market Square, Edmonton Green, received her gong for services to theatre and inclusive drama. The 54-year-old mother of two set up Face Front with 3 other artists 18 years ago as a project to make theatre accessible to both disabled and non-disabled artists as well as audiences. It has gone from strength to strength, working with excluded and disadvantaged, putting on productions, touring schools, and through its multi-layered theatre programme. It's about making theatre accessible to everyone, she said. Everything is about inclusion, so we use sign language, different visual tools, film poetry, and dance in performances. Anne, who lives in Enfield, said she was surprised and humbled to be nominated for an MBE. "I feel very honoured that people value and appreciate me, but it's not about me," she added. "None of it would be possible without the hard work and dedication of my colleagues and volunteers." Our second recipient receiving an OBE for services to education was Marva Rollins, head teacher of Raynham Primary School and Children's Centre in Raynham Avenue, Edmonton. Our third recipient was met with surprise and delight when Palmer's Green resident Vijay Ratan returned home after a 2.5-month spell in hospital to discover she had been awarded a gong in the New Year's Honours. The award of a British Empire Medal for services and activities to support and empower Asian women was just the pick-me-up the 76-year-old needed as she recovered from a heart attack and knee replacement surgery. Vijay of Paris Lane set up Nari Shakti, which means women's strength, to provide a meeting place for Asian women to socialise, further their education and get advice about personal issues. The mother of 3 founded the charitable group 10 years ago as a support network to help integrate Asian women into the community and become more independent. I had tears in my eyes, Vijay recalls, when she found out she had been honoured. It was a really proud moment for us all, added her 45-year-old son Kush Ratan, especially as she had just come out of hospital. Originally from the state of Punjab in northern India, Vijay started voluntary groups to help female victims of domestic violence and prejudice. She continued her work when she moved to England in 1972 and has made it her mission ever since to support Asian women who are denied a social life or an education. The group helps to bring them out into the community and educate women whose first language isn't English, explained Vijay. It can be very isolating and scary to go out if you can't speak English, so we help women to come out of their shells and feel part of the community. As well as offering activity classes and weekly advice drop-in sessions at the group centre in Bowes Road, Palmers Green, there are also staff trained to spot signs of domestic abuse. I get satisfaction from helping people, and I try to remove the barriers for Asian women who need support, added Vijay, who will collect her medal from a member of the royal family in a ceremony at Buckingham Palace. I will wear a traditional colourful sari as it is important for me to keep my identity.
3 more British Empire medals. Residence champion Tony Kingsnorth, who is one of our listeners, has also been honoured with a British Empire medal. The 79-year-old is president of the Federation of Enfield Residents and Allied Associations, an umbrella body representing the borough's residents' groups, and receives the gong for services to the community in Enfield. Tony stepped down as chairman of the Bush Hill Park Residents Association last year due to sight loss, having resurrected the association when it nearly folded 20 years ago. He was among those who spearheaded campaigns to save Chase Farm Hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, and helped to save the 377 bus service in 2005. And in his role as treasurer and committee member of Enfield Vision, a group for the visually impaired, he liaised with Enfield Council on making the steps outside Bush Hill Park railway station safer for those with sight loss. When he goes to collect his honour at Buckingham Palace, it won't be the first time he will have met royalty. Tony, who lives in Edenbridge Road, Bush Hill Park, met the Queen and Prince Phillip when they came to Enfield in 2003 to commemorate the 700th anniversary of Enfield Market. That was at 40 Hall, and I still have the suit I wore then, but I might treat myself to a new one, he added. Thrilled, surprised, secretly delighted. That's how you'd imagine the reaction would be on finding out you had been awarded a British Empire medal. Not Burghard Gravis, however. The Enfield resident burst into laughter when he opened the letter from the Cabinet Office informing him he was being honoured for services to youth sport in neighbouring Haringey. The 68-year-old is founder and chief executive of Haringey Sports Development Trust, which he set up 24 years ago with the aim of giving every child in the borough the opportunity to participate in sport. Burghard, who lives in Sheldon Road, Edmonton, recalls the moment he opened the envelope. It was at the Trust's office, he said. My daughter Karen and my son Craig, who are on the staff of the Trust, were also there, so I couldn't keep it a secret as the Cabinet Office requires you to until the honours list is formally announced. I wasn't being disrespectful when I burst into laughter. It is a tremendous honour, and I feel humbled to receive such recognition. It was simply my way of coping with something so unexpected. Burghard, who came to Britain from Germany as a 5-year-old, set up the Trust in his living room with a typewriter, a football and a minimal budget after his job as Sports Development Officer for Haringey Council was axed in 1992. The Trust, with the aid of funding from Sport England and the Tottenham Grammar School Foundation among others, now delivers a sports development programme in all Haringey schools, as well as working with grassroots community sports clubs offering coaching and support. Burkhard is a keen runner himself and has participated in countless marathons and is still competing in 5 and 10 kilometre events. Looking forward to his visit to Buckingham Palace to receive the medal, he added, "I'm rarely ever seen in anything other than tracksuits or sports gear, but I will have to make an exception and wear a suit and tie for the big occasion." Reverend Olive Cope, a former vicar of St Andrew's Church in Enfield Town, received a British Empire Medal for services to the community. An Enfield resident for more than 80 years, she has been involved in the church ministry in the borough for more than 50 of them. One of the first women priests to be ordained in 1984, she formally retired as Vicar of St Andrews in December 2015, when she was awarded the St Mellitus Medal by the Bishop of London, the Right Reverend Richard Charteris.
Here's a letter from Charlie Straker, the Click Sergeant fundraising manager. Make a resolution to help families fighting cancer. New year, new you. With the new year underway, many people will be making resolutions. So this year, why not pledge to fight for young lives struck by cancer? Click Sergeant, the leading charity in the UK for children and young people with cancer, would love everyone in London to get inspired to start fundraising in 2017. So why not come up with your own unique fundraising ideas? Take on that half marathon you'd always thought about. Do a raffle at work. Become a charity stamp champ. Or organise a sponsored walk or a charity quiz. Any support you can provide really will make a difference to the families we support. Our recent cancer costs campaign research revealed that when a child or young person is going through active treatment, families can be spending, on average, £600 a month extra. This puts a massive strain on budgets, causing many to fall into debt. This isn't right or fair. With your help in 2017, we can reach those families, providing support, financial advice and grants to help minimise the damage cancer causes to young people beyond their health. To find out more about fundraising for young cancer patients and their families, contact Click Sergeant fundraising manager Charlie Straker on 020 8752 2893 or email charliestraker@clicksergeant.org.uk. Now we have the Gazette and Advertiser's review of 2016. Janet will start us off with the review for January.
Drug raids and New Year's honours. January. Things started well for a trio of Enfield residents who were recognised in the New Year's honours with MBEs. Brian Hosier from Palmer's Green was honoured for services to scouting. Janet Leach also had a date at Buckingham Palace to collect her MBE for work with children as head of Enfield Joint Services for Disabled Children and Cheviot Specialist Children's Centre in Enfield Town. School Governor Gordon Stubberfield, who has clocked up more than 20 years' service in education, also learned he would be honoured for his work at the Bowes Alliance School, De Bowen Primary School in Green Road, Southgate, and Southgate School in Sussex Way. Traders at Ritz Parade in Arnos Grove were worried they would lose their livelihood as they learned that the area could be earmarked for development. It was highlighted as a key site for redevelopment around the A406. A gang of 5 drug dealers started prison sentences after thousands of pounds of cash and cocaine were found when police swooped on their homes in Enfield. They'd been under surveillance for months as police built up evidence of deals across North London. They found 11 bags of cocaine at the Palmer's Green home of the mastermind Gentian Kuka of Fox Lane.
February. Cult leader jailed and fight to rescue pub. Cult leader Aravind Balakrishnan began a 23-year prison sentence after being convicted of raping members of a communist cult he ran. The 75-year-old of Latimer Road, Edmonton, was also convicted of imprisoning his own daughter, who was kept at the cult's house in South London until she escaped 30 years later and asked for help. Judge Deborah Taylor told Balakrishnan that he had treated his daughter as a project, not a person. His daughter said she forgave him despite his lack of remorse. Patients were asked to go home as under pressure North Middlesex University Hospital in Edmonton struggled to cope as 450 people turned up at A&E during one shift. A tannoy announcement urged people to leave if they were not suffering from a life-threatening condition. Patients said it was chaos, and some people had to stand. Campaigner Mike McLean vowed to fight to save a Winchmore Hill pub from being turned into flats. He opposed a scheme to transform the Green Dragon into homes after it was bought by a developer. There had been a pub on or near the site at the junction of Green Lanes and Vickersmoor Lane since 1726. Enfield Council officers recommended the local authority approve the plans for 9 homes on the site.
March. Hospital worries and when Harry met Irene. London mayoral candidate Sadiq Khan branded the state of the borough's last remaining A&E department at North Middlesex University Hospital a travesty caused by underfunding the centre in Stirling Way, Edmonton. Mr. Khan met members of the Forest Primary Care Centre's patient group in Hertford Road, Edmonton, while he was on the campaign trail. Sick children were set to lose the specialist paediatric unit at Chase Farm Hospital. Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group said it was pulling the plug on the £409,000 a year assessment centre after a review found it was used by an average of just 2 patients a day. The specialist unit deals with children with conditions including head injuries, unexplained fever and suspected broken bones. Spurs celebrated its lucky mascot's birthday. Enfield resident Irene McBride, who is still cheering the Lily Whites on at the grand old age of 101. The loyal fan from Crescent Road started following Spurs in the 1930s, and she was honoured on the pitch at half-time at White Hart Lane as the club's longest-serving season ticket holder. She was presented with a special McBride 101 shirt and met her current favourite, striker Harry Kane, and the team beat Bournemouth 3-0 in the Premier League match.
Drive-by shooting and jail for party murderer in April. Police investigated a suspected drive-by shooting in a residential street after shots were reported to have been fired. No one was injured during the incident in Armfield Road, Enfield, near the junction with Lancaster Road. However, mystery surrounded the details of the shooting, which occurred when the road was busy with pedestrians and cars. Campaigners petitioned for a historic building to house a museum to commemorate the site as a prisoner of war camp. They called on housing developer Barclay Group, who bought the Mansion House in Trent Park, to turn the ground floor into a permanent memorial to the efforts of the military staff who spied on Nazi prisoners. A man who stabbed a teenager to death after refusing him entry to a party at his Winchmore Hill home was given a life sentence. Jamal Williams, 20, of Berkeley Gardens, will spend a minimum of 24 years behind bars after he was found guilty of the murder of 17-year-old Shakan Sami Plummer. We'll have more review of 2006 later in this broadcast.
Man, 24, arrested 2 weeks after fatal accident. A suspect has been arrested in connection with an accident in which a 36-year-old man died in Enfield a fortnight ago. Police have spent 2 weeks trying to trace the driver of a vehicle, which failed to stop after IT consultant Andy Lindup was fatally injured as he crossed Holt White's Hill, just yards from his home in Kirkland Drive, at about 7 a.m. on Thursday, December the 15th. A 24-year-old man was arrested on Friday on suspicion of causing death by dangerous driving and failing to stop at the scene of the collision. He had attended a North London police station following the recovery of a vehicle in Edmonton the day before. The man has been released on police bail until a date in the late April. Mr. Lindup, who was originally from Solihull in the West Midlands, worked for Islington Council.
Choose a citizen for accolade. People have been busy voting for those outstanding citizens who they think deserve an award to commemorate their achievements. Nominations for Barnet's 17th Annual Civic Awards ran until New Year's Eve. The annual awards are a chance for the borough to officially acknowledge the dedication and hard work of those who strive to make a positive difference to people's lives. Anyone can nominate a person or organisation they think is deserving of recognition. Mayor of Barnet, Councillor David Longstaff, said, "The borough's civic awards are a way for us to thank you and officially recognise the amazing contribution people make to life in the borough on a daily basis. I hope people stepped up to nominate a person or group and took the time to put forward someone worthy of recognition. The winners of the various categories will be announced at a ceremony in March."
Not everything can be done via internet. This is a letter from Michael Hardiman of Landseer Road, Enfield. Since December the 12th last year, it has not been possible to print documents from the internet or do any photocopying at the John Jackson Library in Agricola Place, Bush Hill Park. The reasons for the withdrawal of these facilities are unclear, but without them, users of the library will be severely disadvantaged. We can no longer print out tickets for train or air travel, and the hard copies needed for job applications, school choices and passports applications, as well as the bank statements and utility bills we need to deal with a host of important day-to-day chores, are inaccessible to us. Not everything can be done online. In fact, the spread of online ticketing and smart billing has made a printer more of a must-have than before, and I am surprised that the council is so short-sighted in its provision. Many households do not have IT facilities, but many more do not have their own printer for reasons of expense or space. Surely it is not unreasonable to expect a council to provide this service locally. Expecting us to travel to Enfield Town Library to do one printout is insane.
Here's a New Year message from David Burrows. Disenchantment can have positive results. It was, of course, an extraordinary political year with Brexit, a change of Prime Minister and President-elect Trump. Commentators talk about a growing disenchantment and distrust of politicians. It's no surprise that opinion pollsters have joined politicians in being ranked as least untrustworthy. However, the political upheavals have led to an increased interest in politics, particularly amongst young people. We need to capture this mood and transfer it into active political engagement. As one of the 60,000 people in the borough who voted to leave the EU, I'm looking forward to the opportunities outside the EU. However, I recognise that a majority in Enfield did not vote to leave the EU, and I will ensure that concerns expressed by constituents will be fed into government as we seek the best Brexit deal. There has, of course, been much more going on in the world than Brexit. The horrors in Syria and the impotence of the international community are of great concern. I hope in 2017 the UN and all member states will rediscover their responsibility to protect people from genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing and crimes against humanity. I look forward to representing my constituents in 2017 and focusing particularly on the big challenges of social care and housing. I will continue to take an active interest in local issues such as the cycle lanes, which are likely to cause much disruption at huge public expense for little public benefit. I will continue to champion social justice causes such as homelessness and refugees. It was the murder of Jo Cox which was the saddest political moment of 2016, but her enduring example of dedicated service and passionate concern for the vulnerable is one for us all to follow in public life in 2017. My best wishes for a more peaceful and perhaps less eventful New Year.
And we've got another New Year message by Kate Osamore. She said she would like to wish everyone season's greetings and a Happy New Year. It's been a privilege and an honour to serve the wonderful people of Edmonton over the last 12 months. Edmonton is a multicultural and vibrant part of Enfield, and I hope that whichever way you choose to celebrate the holiday season this year, you had a fantastic time and were able to spend precious moments with your friends and family. During times of celebration and joy, we are able to share these cherished moments with those we hold dearest. The holiday season offers us the opportunity to reflect on the important people we have in our lives and how much they mean to us all. Equally, during times of difficulty and strife, our friends and family provide us with much needed comfort and warmth. Loneliness can be a painful and crushing experience at the best of times, not least during this time of year. We must also take time to contemplate and consider those here in the UK and the rest of the world who don't have the same support networks that we can often take for granted. It was certainly a turbulent 2016, which saw the loss of some of the most influential social and cultural figures of our time, and shockwaves ripple across the political system. 2017 is set to be a challenging and tumultuous year, but I remain steadfast in my duty to serve and work for the people of Edmonton. I hope you all had a happy holiday, and here's to 2017 full of optimism, compassion and hope.
Teams left in limbo by fire at sports club. Fire investigators are probing the cause of a blaze which ripped through an Enfield-based sports club, leaving it a blackened ruin. Dozens of firefighters tackled the inferno at Brimsdown Sports and Social Club in Golsdown Road after the blaze broke out at about 4:50 a.m. A total of 10 fire engines and 72 crew and officers were called to the scene from Enfield, Edmonton, Chingford, Walthamstow, Hornsey, Stoke Newington and Woodford. The blaze was under control by 7:55 a.m. and is said to have damaged 75% of the single-storey building and half the roof. Fire crews remained at the scene throughout the morning, damping down the wreckage. The sports club and adjoining soccer pitches are used by a number of senior and junior teams, among them Continental FC, which plays in the Barnet Sunday League. It is unclear whether the changing rooms are affected by the blaze. Roland Malcolm, who is chairman and secretary of Continental FC, said, "I haven't been down to the club yet, but I will have to find out the extent of the damage and will then have to decide with the club whether we will need to rearrange fixtures." Brimsdown Rovers FC, which uses the pitch for junior players, said it would also have to find an alternative venue if the facilities had been damaged by the blaze.
A New Year message by Joan Ryan. Still a great place to live. Brexit, a new Prime Minister, the election of Donald Trump, by anyone's standards, 2016 was an interesting year. But despite the turbulent political background, one of the most heartening things we saw locally was how Enfield residents worked together for the good of our community. Over the summer, our nearest accident and emergency at North Middlesex University Hospital was under threat. Inspectors had raised serious concerns about the standard of treatment provided to patients. Our campaign to save the A&E, with a petition signed by 5,000 local residents, allowed me to express the strength of our community's desire to protect our local health services when I met government health ministers and raised this issue in Parliament. Working with neighbouring MPs too, our joint efforts and community campaign stopped the possible partial closure of North Mid's A&E. Instead, by putting pressure on the hospital to act, a new clinical leadership team was appointed and extra doctors recruited. While North Mid has turned a corner, further improvements are required, but our campaign showed how powerful the voice of the people can be. We have lots of other issues in Enfield, not enough police and government cuts to our councils and our schools' budgets, as well as terrible train services. I'm looking forward to working with everyone in Enfield to make 2017 another great year for community campaigning. Despite the challenges we face, our borough is a fantastic place to live, work and raise a family. I wish everyone a happy new year.
The community stands up. Crowds turned out to protest in response to a Muslim woman being attacked by two men as she walked down the street. The woman, aged in her 20s, was knocked to the ground and dragged by her hajib in Hall Lane, Chinkford, on Wednesday the 14th of December. The woman was reportedly left laying on the pavement for 20 minutes following the attack, which has been described as Islamophobic. Two men helped the woman to a nearby restaurant where the police and ambulance were called at 8:30 p.m. No arrests have been made. More than 200 people attended the vigil in Chinkford, which was organised by Waltham Forest Stand Up to Racism. Waltham Forest is one of the most diverse boroughs in the country, with 48% of residents from a minority ethnic background. More than a third were born abroad, and almost a quarter are Muslim. Sophie Bolt, who helped organise the protest, said, "When politicians and the media whip up racism, it has a direct result on the streets. May's government and the right-wing media are scapegoating immigrants and Muslims to take the blame for austerity. But it's government policies that are making people poorer and destroying public services." Ursula Hawthorne of Waltham Forest Stand Up to Racism said, "The outrage expressed by local people over this terrible attack shows the majority of us will not tolerate racism in our community." Kiri Tunks, who is the Junior Vice President for the National Union of Teachers, said, "Waltham Forest's diverse and vibrant community is something to celebrate, not hate." Now Janet will continue with the review of 2016, with the bigger stories for May.
Prostitution, clampdown and Box Junction fury. A clampdown on prostitution was launched following a wave of complaints from residents. Police, the Immigration Service and Enfield Council worked to disrupt soliciting in 4th Street, Edmonton, which was reported a hotspot for prostitution. Police patrols were refocused and residents were urged to report suspected brothels. Angry residents vented their fury after being hit with a flood of fines from a camera installed at a busy junction. They claimed to be victims of highway robbery when the camera caught them in the Yellow Box Junction at the intersection of Great Cambridge Road and Carthatch Lane off the A10 in Enfield. A council spokeswoman said the drivers who felt they had received a penalty charge in error had the right to appeal against the fine. Good luck with that. 40 Hall Farm bottled and sold its first batch of wine after harvesting a good supply of organic grapes from its 10-acre vineyard. 2 white wines named Ortega and Bacchus by award-winning winemaker Will Davenport went on sale at the farm shop in 40 Hill, Enfield.
June. Dramatic car fire rescue and Brexit. A man was hailed a hero after risking his life to rescue a disabled pensioner from a blazing car. George Parrard, aged 32, from Cockfosters, spotted Martin Griffin, aged 67, who has only one leg, struggling to get out of his car seconds before it exploded in Green Dragon Lane, Winchmore Hill. A hospital nurse was jailed after swindling the NHS and benefits system out of hundreds of thousands of pounds. The fraudster of Oxford Road, Edmonton, claimed the false identity of Antoinette Cady as part of an organised scam. It enabled her to obtain UK citizenship, qualify as a nurse, falsely claim tax credits, income support and payments. She was sentenced to 33 months in prison at Croydon Crown Court. Britain's exit from the European Union was not backed by a clear majority of Enfield voters who chose to remain in the referendum ballot. A total of 76,425 votes, or 55.8%, were cast in favour of staying in, compared to 60,481 votes, or 44.2%, who wanted to leave. Southgate Conservative MP David Burrows, a staunch Leave supporter, was delighted by the result and the 69% turnout.
July. Mum's relief and an audacious heist bid. A mum relived her nightmare after her car was stolen with her 2 children still inside. The dramatic incident occurred when the 27-year-old stopped to pop into a shop in Kemp Road, Enfield, only for the opportunistic thief to jump into the driver's seat and take off. The woman's 12-year-old daughter flung herself from the vehicle, while her baby son was found dumped on the doorstep of a young couple's home in Cheshunt. Thankfully, neither child was hurt as a result of the ordeal. Audacious thieves who closed Enfield Chase Station as they tried, without success, to break into a cash machine in 2015 were jailed. The 6-strong gang, who dressed as railway workers in orange boiler suits and hard hats and boarded up the entrance to the station as they tried to pull off the heist, were handed custodial sentences ranging in length from 8 years to 19 months, with one of them receiving a 16-month suspended sentence. Crazy capers raised thousands of pounds for charity at an It's a Knockout style tournament in Enfield Town Park. 8 teams competed in a string of balmy battles, entertaining 3,000 people, raising more than £8,000 for the Nightingale Cancer Support Centre in Lancaster Road, Enfield, in the process.
Some monkey business in August. Capel Manor College reported an increase in monkey business following the addition of 3 marmosets to its growing zoo. The playful primates joined the menagerie of exotic animals at the college in Ballsmore Lane, Enfield. The trio were rehomed there after being rescued by Monkey World in Dorset. Sun cream and water being confiscated by security staff were amongst the complaints voiced by revellers at the 51st State Music Festival held in Trent Park. Organisers were forced to apologise over the lengths of queues at the event, which attracted an estimated 12,500 punters and featured acts including Soul to Soul, Roger Sanchez and David Morales. A woman and child were rescued from a first-floor window ledge by a quick-witted rescuer as more than 20 people fled a fierce blaze in Palmer's Green. A quick-thinking member of the public dashed to find a builder's ladder so the stranded pair could escape as the inferno tore through the flats. More review of 2016 later, but now back to local news.
Singer Eleni turning up for her big break. Singer Eleni Christofi is hoping 2017 will be the breakthrough year in her bid for stardom. The 23-year-old artist, who lives in Alderman's Hill, Palmer's Green, has already fulfilled one of her dreams by appearing before thousands of screaming fans on the same concert bill as top stars Ollie Mures, Little Mix and Jessie Glynn. It was when Eleni, whose stage name is Eleni C., opened a free radio live event back in November at Birmingham's National Exhibition Centre. She performed her single, Building Castles, which she released after signing a deal with record label The Famous Company. The experience was amazing, and it was really life-changing. I didn't just see artists I admire, I got to experience what life would be like as a professional artist. Eleni started singing as a child and has performed to audiences since she was 18 years old. Her favourite singer growing up was Christina Aguilera, and more recently she has been inspired by Adele and the late Amy Winehouse. Adele's music is so relatable, said Eleni. I perform some of her songs when I do my sets, and I can feel her through the lyrics. She describes her own music as pop and soul. It's important for me to sing songs with meaning because they convey so much emotion. 3 years ago, Eleni represented the UK in the International Cyprus Music Festival, where she won the Best Female Singer accolade and Best Song with Leap of Faith. While Eleni becomes more established in the music industry, she has a part-time job at makeup and skincare company The Body Shop. But my life is all about music, and sometimes it's nice to step away from it because it refocuses me and reminds me of why I love it so much.
Kidney transplant mum owes it to her little brother. A seriously ill Enfield mum was given the most precious gift of all from her younger brother after he donated one of his kidneys for a life-saving operation. Teacher Amy Hennessy, aged 38, from Bush Hill Park, received the donor organ from 32-year-old policeman Tristan Hunter in a 9-hour double transplant operation at the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead just before Christmas. The surgery was filmed live from the operating theatre and posted on Twitter. Amy, a mother of twin 10-year-old boys and a teacher at Alma Primary School in Alma Road, Ponders End, was pictured sitting up in bed smiling with her brother just hours after the procedure. As she praised the remarkable selfless gesture of her brother, who is due to be a father himself for the first time in March, "I'm overwhelmed," she said. "It's amazing. I am getting him something really special for Christmas in return." Without the kidney transplant, Amy would have needed dialysis. She has suffered with renal problems ever since she was a baby because of reflux caused by an undeveloped esophagus, which damaged her kidneys, causing them to deteriorate ever since. Amy's kidney failure caused complications when she was pregnant with her twin boys, Freddie and Alfie, who had to be delivered prematurely at just 29 weeks. Just hours after the lengthy operation, Amy said she was already noticing a difference. "I feel amazing," she said. "I can't remember when I felt this well. I've got more energy. I just feel so much healthier." Tristan had no qualms about giving one of his 2 kidneys, as people can function quite normally with just one. I knew that I wanted to do it, he explained, but I did start to feel nervous the closer we got to the operation. It started to hit home what we were going through. With only a few months to go until he is due to be a father, Tristan wanted to have the operation before the baby arrives in March. We wanted it to be done before the birth, so I am fully recovered, he added. It's all gone as well as could be expected, so the whole family is really pleased. We can enjoy a great Christmas together.
5-star showing. Enfield Town bounced back from the disappointment of conceding a last-gasp equaliser at Leiston in fine style by romping to a 5-1 victory at Harrow Borough in the Ryman Premier Division. Town had produced an excellent performance at high-flying Leiston and deserved to seal all 3 points, but were ultimately undone by a goal in the 4th minute of injury time as the clash ended 1-1. However, they produced the perfect response to this late setback by simply overwhelming Harrow, taking control of the match from the moment that Scott Shorten and Billy Crook both scored in the space of 60 seconds to put them 2-0 up inside 12 minutes. Donal Winter added a 3rd prior to the interval, and the striker also grabbed the 5th after Ricky Gabriel had further extended their lead 11 minutes into the second half, with a late goal from Sar Kaba proving scant consolation for the well-beaten hosts. It was a very pleasing performance, said manager Bradley Quinton. It was disappointing to concede so late at Leiston. I wanted a response, and I got exactly what I was looking for. The way we'd been playing, it was only a matter of time before we gave someone a bit of a beating. Some of our passing and moving was really good, and we could have got 8 or 9. We've got 7 points out of a possible 9 over the festive period, and we'd have taken that beforehand. We're in a good position at the moment, and I just want to wish everyone a happy new year and hope that we can kick on now in the second half of the season. The deadlock was broken on 11 minutes as a swift counter-attack ended with Shorten latching onto Winter's low cross and drilling a shot into the net off the inside of the post. The second arrived almost immediately as Town won possession back from the kick-off and Harry Ottaway put Crook in the clear and he finished with aplomb. Several chances to extend the lead were squandered before the visitors eventually struck again 4 minutes before half-time, when Winter turned ill Gabriel's cross shot. Gabriel deservedly got his name on the score sheet with an acrobatic volley from Crook's corner, while Winter struck again on 71 minutes, finding the net with a cool finish after being played clear by Jonathan Muleba. Some sloppy defending enabled Cabba to pull one back soon after, but it made no difference to the final outcome as Town romped to victory. The clash at Leiston had seen Shorten fire Town into the lead, but although they dominated for long spells, they were unable to add a second and were made to pay when Matt Blake equalised with virtually the last touch of the game. Enfield Town host AFC Sudbury next.
More football as Cockfosters close in on second place. Cockfosters climbed to within a point of second place in the Spartan Premier Division by easing to a 2-0 victory at Edgware Town. Informed Cockfosters produced another fine display to maintain their stunning recent run of results, and goals from George Ironton and 16-year-old Luke Alfano, his first for the club, were enough to seal an 8th successive win. We just seem to keep on winning at the moment, said manager Dean Barker. We've won 8 on the trot in all competitions, which is great going, and we've got 5 successive clean sheets as well. We got an early goal and created a few chances to extend our lead. Edgware came into the game more after that, but their keeper made 2 or 3 great saves, and I think that we deserved to win. We had 2 16-year-olds and 3 17-year-olds in our squad, so we are definitely giving youth a chance, and it's great to see them doing so well. I was delighted to see Luke get his goal. He is our under-18 captain and has done really well whenever he's played for the first team. I know that we've played a few more matches than some of the teams around us, but I'd rather have the points on the board than games in hand at this stage of the season. At the moment, we just want to keep on playing, and we'll try to keep the run going. Cockfoster's previous match had seen them beat Hadley by an identical margin, with Ironton and Bobby Sears on target. They entertain Crawley Green next. Now for our final round of review of 2016, starting with September.
Festivals, arson and boundary shake-ups. Investigators believe arsonists were behind 2 fires which destroyed a farmhouse and 2 barns at an Enfield farm in 2 days. They shifted through the embers at the Enfield council-owned farmhouse near the M25 for evidence to find out exactly what caused the blazes. Firefighters were called out 3 times over 2 days to put out fires at the farm after flames took hold. Local talent topped the bill at the annual Palmer's Green Festival in Broomfield Park. Calf Starfish Loves Coffee set up its new Starfish Arts Festival, exhibiting the work of local artists on the park fence along Alderman's Hill, running from outside its shop to the main gates. Arts and crafts were also available to buy from traders' stalls. David Burrows, the MP for Enfield Southgate, vowed to fight plans to dismember his constituency as part of a proposed major shake-up of parliamentary boundaries. The Boundary Commission proposed scrapping the seat as part of moves to cut the number of MPs from 650 to 600. A new seat called Finchley and Southgate might be created instead, including residents living in the Winchmore Hill, Southgate Green wards, as well as Barnet.
October, a little animal magic for Henry. Aspiring tycoon Samuel Boateng from Enfield was unveiled as one of the contestants vying for the affections of Alan Sugar as BBC's The Apprentice returned to TV screens. However, the 28-year-old fell foul of the prickly billionaire in week 7. Veterinary student Henry Mosey swapped cats and dogs for monkeys and crocodiles and lions during a 3-week placement at a wildlife rescue centre in Africa. Henry, aged 23, of Kerry Close, Palmer's Green, in his 5th year at the Royal Veterinary College in Potters Bar, travelled to Lilongwe Wildlife Centre in Malawi to offer a helping hand to the centre, which cares for sick and injured animals, as well as monitoring the overall health of wild populations. Teenage car thief Martin Corley, who stole a car containing 2 children in it, as reported in August, was sentenced to 2 years in a young offenders institute. Corley, aged 19, of no fixed address, pleaded guilty at Wood Green Crown Court to kidnap, child abduction, aggravated taking and driving away.
November. Cycle Enfield and Portillo reminisces. Former government minister and Enfield Southgate MP Michael Portillo took a trip down memory lane when he took his one-man show to Williot's Theatre in Potters Bar. The 63-year-old, whose defeat in the 1997 election is widely seen as a watershed moment in British politics, poked fun at himself during the course of the show, entitled A Game of Two Halves. I was never that ambitious about climbing up the greasy pole, he told us beforehand. I had held several cabinet posts and had had my fill. I left voluntarily because I didn't enjoy being in opposition. Construction of the first phase of the £42 million Cycle Enfield scheme prompted a barrage of complaints from Winchmore Hill businesses. Shops at Mason's Corner found themselves blocked by diggers, barricades and traffic cones, making it difficult for customers to stop in cars. Adelphia Continental Food closed, and a poster in the shuttered shop read, "Let's ruin local businesses and the community, all for a cycle superhighway to nowhere." The installation of so-called smart meter devices by utility companies to monitor household energy consumption in Enfield proved controversial. Hundreds joined a Facebook page in protest, pitting the consumer against the government, which had given the go-ahead to install them in every home by 2020. The meters record consumption of electricity, gas and water in 30-minute intervals and beam that information back to a central database held by each utility firm.
Festive fun at 40 Hall and a nasty niff in December. The mystery of a foul-smelling stink which had residents holding their noses turned out to be the result of activities of a renewable energy plant. The pungent pong led to hundreds of people complaining to Enfield Council or taking to social media to raise concerns about what it was. The source of the nasty niff was traced to Cattlegate Farm in Cattlegate Road, Enfield, the home of the plant run by Willen Biogas, and the leakage was blamed on a faulty weld to sealed vessels from which methane is harvested. A magical children's Christmas event had youngsters full of festive cheer at 40 Hall. It was staged in the grounds and inside the mansion in 40 Hill, Enfield, and visitors enjoyed activities including a ride around the lake in a horse-drawn carriage. Santa and Mrs. Claus, joined by Head Elf, greeted children as they visited the grotto in the stone cottage. An Enfield plumber who stumbled on centuries-old illicit gin still in a former bakery he was renovating started his own sideline, producing the booze legally from the original recipe. Ian Puddick discovered the illegal distillery when he bought an old bakery in Pym's Mews, Palmer's Green, to convert into an office for his business. But the mother's ruin was no longer illegal. After a year of trying, Mr. Puddick now has a wholesale licence from HM Revenue and Customs to sell to pubs, clubs and restaurants. We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Janet, Sally, Colin and Keith and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.